Hello and welcome to episode 39 of the Long Distance Stitchers. My name is Megan,
I am also Megan.
and this is our channel about cross stitch.
Yeah.
Yes, we are floss tubers and purveyors of floss tube and floss tube accessories, cross stitch accessories.
I don't purvey any cross stitch or cross stitch
Yeah,
accessories.
that's true.
Yeah, yeah, no. Let's not let's not get ourselves too ahead of ourselves. That was a lot of ourselves. I have whoop on this side, just a little background. So if you are on Instagram at all, you have probably seen these going around. So D of D's 20 Stitches, our Stitch Dad, made a series of posters as people are preparing to go to Nashville Market next weekend um, for businesses to use to indicate that they are safe spaces. And it has sort of exploded in terms of people not understanding what a safe space is. So after seeing some of the responses, I made this little edit to say the Stitcher is a safe space because I'm not a business, but I did want to support the message that Dee is putting out there. Um, and then a whole bunch of people started using these too, which is great, which is fantastic. But I thought maybe it would be worthwhile just saying what a safe space actually is. What is inclusion? Because inclusion is not just calling yourself a safe space. So, like, I typically would not declare myself a safe space. It's not up to me to determine as a cis white woman what is safe for historically excluded people, right? Like that's not up to me. And so I work intentionally and with action to ensure that I am a safe space for people, but I don't get to declare that. And I am also a human. I will misstep. I appreciate when people tell me that it is uh, that I have misstepped so that I can learn and grow. But you have to be intentional, right? It's not just, oh, I'm safe and that's it, right? It has to be with your actions, with your words. It has to be stepping in when people are experiencing verbal or physical violence. And it happens everywhere. There are no, like, the cross stitch community is not immune from
Yeah.
exclusive actions. And a big thing that's going around too is that, like, everybody, not everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, the people who are responding negatively to this are saying, keep politics out of cross stitch. A, everything's political. We're humans. We are political. But B, being a safe space and wanting to be inclusive is not actually a political action. It is a human action.
Yeah.
Using laws, using policies, using politics to exclude people is political, right? And so
Mhm.
the intention of these signs are to ensure that people feel welcome and safe, not to make anybody else feel excluded. And so if you feel excluded when you see inclusion happening, that's a you problem, and you have to think about what it is that makes you feel that way. Um,
Yeah.
because we are not colorblind. We are living in societies that ingrain all sorts of racist, uh, homophobic, transphobic, classist, right? Expectations, whether you are conscious of it or not. And so if you are reacting poorly to this, it is because you are not conscious of the privileges you hold and you are threatened by other people coming into those spaces.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right?
And I
Everyone
think
should be welcome.
like and there's been so much talk also like with the whole like DEI thing, and I think people see that and then they're like, oh, like they're taking something away from me and giving it to this other, in their eyes, less deserving person, when it's not. No one is taking anything away from anyone, especially like stuff like this where it's like this is a safe space. We're not saying, you have to be XYZ to be included here. We're just highlighting that if you are any of these things, you are included.
Yeah.
And I feel like people think like, or like this is like the pushback is that like, oh, now they're saying you have to be whatever, whatever. It's like, no. And if that's what you think, then you're way off base. So,
Yeah. And like there is lots of research that shows that being purposefully inclusive, diverse, equitable improves spaces overall. A diversity of viewpoints, a diversity of experiences brings many people into spaces. You get people thinking about problems differently, right? You like in terms of like, a lot of this research is done in like the business sphere, but you come up with different ideas that are better than if you just have a group of people who essentially have the same background doing all this stuff, right? And so you have to be intentional in this. And this is work that I do in my professional life. This is work that I try and do in my personal life, and it's hard work. It is hard work, especially when you have been raised in a place of privilege, to acknowledge that privilege and then to keep combating the unconscious bias that you have because that's how you were socialized and raised, right?
yeah.
There is no end point, right? There is just continuous learning, continuous improvement, and continuous work. And so if you
Hmm.
are wanting to do that work, you have to know that it takes a lot of energy and it has to be conscious and it has to be everywhere, right? It's not in this box, I will be this way, and outside of that, I will go back to just ignoring
Yeah.
what I need to do,
Yeah, like I only do it when I'm with certain people or whatever, like that kind of stuff.
right? Like that's disingenuous and it's harmful, and it will definitely, like, people will pick up on it and they will definitely know that you are not sincere in the work that you're doing. So,
Hmm. Exactly. And I think like, it's like people are like, oh, like you don't want to stitch things like created by white people or like whatever, whatever. And so I was kind of, so it's like, no, like we're saying like the market is flooded with people that are represented, and that's what we're trying to be like, hey, like highlight this person, highlight these people. Like here are some other people that maybe aren't getting the same attention despite being very deserving of it because they're from marginalized groups. So, and again, if you feel like that's exclusive in some way, then
yeah.
that's your problem. That's
Yeah,
yeah,
and
no
like
one's creating that.
it's not pie, right? It's
Yeah.
not, if you give a slice to somebody else will lose a slice, right? It is the circle can be ever growing, and
Hmm.
you just have to make that space, be willing to hear and learn when somebody tells you that you misstepped, and be willing to step in when other people are not being safe,
Yeah.
right?
And
Like,
I feel like that's the biggest key here is that we've all decided to step up and say like, hey, we want to be seen as a safe space.
mhm,
And
yeah.
I know
And
that's controversial.
posting on social media that you are a safe space does not automatically make you a safe space. Um, People definitely, because I have my Instagram locked down right now for various reasons. So people have to do a follow request. And there were people who I did not accept because they were posting the safe space sign and then had stuff on their profile that indicated that they very much were not a safe space. Right. And so like reflect on what actually is needed to be a safe space. Posting the sign is not it.
Mhm.
And it's that simple. So,
Yeah.
right. I need to turn this off or else you won't be able to see my stitching. And if you stuck with us this long, then you're probably our kind of people. So thank you. Um, we are not big Flosstube celebrities or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see if our numbers take a little dive after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if so, you know,
Thank
This
you
is
for
not
seeing yourself out. We probably didn't want you here anyways because if
this is not an airport.
you're
You
not
do
ready
not
to
need to
learn,
announce. You
you're
do
not
not need
ready
to
to learn,
announce.
you are not safe. And if you are ready to learn, but you don't know how, I am always happy to point people to resources. There are lots of resources.
Yeah.
And again, just because I said it at the start, but I just want to acknowledge those signs were first created by Dee at Dee's 20 Stitches. And Dee has a Ko-fi, and you can pay him for his efforts and his labor because he didn't just make the signs. He has been answering questions. He has been supporting both designers
People need
and
to follow.
shops who are going to market and who are getting a lot of flack for reposting those signs. So pay people for their time when they are helping you to learn. Okay.
Great. And yeah, if you want to unfollow us, you don't have to tell us. You
Yeah,
can
this
just
is not an airport. We do not need announcements of departures.
yeah, just we'll never even know you were here, and that's how it
Very
should
true.
be.
Very true.
Okay, so
Did you finish anything this month?
I did. I finished
Excellent.
a lot of things. So if you've been watching along this year, you know that I am on a journey to finish 40 of my current as of January 1st, 2025 whips. And so I need to finish at least three a month. So did I finish three things in February? Yes, I did. And I also finished one of my March finishes already. So one of the first things that I finished was this is the swans from Cottage Garden Samplings. Aren't they beautiful?
Turned out so good.
It looks so good. This is the called for Mirage by Picture This Plus. This is count. Mostly the called for floss. I did sub, so the white and the gold are gentle arts, and the gold was supposed to be gold leaf or something like that, but I used Grecian gold, or it's the other way around. Either way, I couldn't get the called for, so I just picked one that was like pretty similar. And then the white was like this like bright white with like sort of like a blue undertone. And then I think the green, the dark green is like a very close approximation because I just didn't have that. But yeah, it's
They
so
look
nice. I love
lovely.
it so much. It turned out so good.
Mhm.
And I honestly, I was so close and I just had like these little like bits of like water or whatever that's supposed to be done at the bottom. And I was like, I can't believe I'm done. Like it's and I was like counting the snowflakes. I'm like, I'm sure I forgot something. Like there's something missing. But yeah, it's done. So that was finish number one for February. And then finish number two, which was very thematic. I should say both of these are like the first in like a series that I want to do. So it's good that I finally finished. So this is Big Hearted Tiny Town from I can never remember. Is it Heart in Hand or is it Hands on Design? Heart in
Art,
Hand, right? Yeah. Heart
Celia
in Hand.
Turner.
Yeah. So this is on 28 count vintage beige. So it's like the printed, it's like just plain
Mhm.
on the other side. And it is all DMC, not all, because it was charted in like fancy flosses. I just did the DMC conversion, but then some of the DMCs I didn't have, so I just picked my own. Like
It
it's
looks great.
it looks great.
No
Thank
one would know that you had different colors in there
you. No,
because
absolutely no one would know. And like
no.
the way that the fancy flosses sometimes come out, like they don't even look like what they're supposed to look like
Yeah.
anyway. So. But yeah, so I really want to do more of the tiny towns and I really want to do more of the cottage garden animals. So maybe next year I will start some more of those. Stay tuned. And then my third finish for February is the Funky Peacock. This is by Marumi Designs. This is a 22 count hardanger, which you can kind of tell is like shredding on the sides because it's like kind of like linen. It's not like Ada where it's like
Mhm.
woven, but anyway, it's fine. I think I'm just gonna slap this in a journal anyway, so I'll just put some interfacing on
I
it
love
so
it.
it'll hold itself together. And the floss is the turquoise is Island Blue from Gentle Art, and the blue, the dark blue, is Saturn by Roxy Floss, and the fabric is an unnamed ornament cut from Kaylee at the sewing shop.
Yeah, it
It's beautiful. And I started this at Stitch North last year, so it's been
well,
kind
you
of
finished it before Stitch North this year, so that's
yeah, exactly. And then my first finish of March, which I finished yesterday, which took like an hour because I was really close to being done. This is We Still Go On. This is by the aforementioned D of D's 20 Stitches and Uncanny Kari. So this was their, I want to say second spring fling, or yes, this would have been the second one.
yes.
It was the Iron Maiden and then this and then yeah. So this was from the second spring fling box, which I technically did not attend, but I was in the car that everyone else was in while they were attending it. So I sort of snuck in. And then I inherited this whip from Michelle because Steph had an extra copy of the pattern. And I started Michelle's for her while she was getting a tattoo at Stitch North 2 years ago. I'm
2023.
finishing all of my Stitch North starts. So this fabric is, I kept saying that this is 16 count, but I stitched this with two strands and I think it's 18 count.
Yeah, because I stitched mine with one. It was probably 18 count.
Yeah.
I never did find whatever I did with the tag for that fabric, so we will never know what its actual name is. We think it's hot
It's from,
chocolate, and
yeah, it's
yeah,
from Brennan Needle. We know it's from Brennan Needle. Michelle bought it at the show. The floss is Spiled Rotten, also by Brennan Needle. And it's beautiful. I love it so much. And then to honor Michelle giving me this project, I wrote We Still Go On in her trademark Michelle Bendy letters. I don't know if they're trademarked. They're just like the ones that she uses a
or
lot.
her alphabet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's her. Yeah, it's her letters. Which is funny because they all the letters that I needed were on that Peacock freebie that she gave out that
from
year, which was
Stitch
like,
North 2023.
yeah, exactly. So it was like a full circle project.
Perfect.
And then I have a finish that has found its way back to me after a long journey. So
Oh,
this is my round robin. Let me find the top. Okay, yes, this is the top. So this was the second most magnificent Ink Circles round robin, which was hosted by Julia. Jules, what's her name? Jules and Stitches? Anyway.
Jewelicious.
Um,
Although
Julia, yeah, Julie,
Julia is
Julie.
no longer using meta applications, so
Okay, fair enough. So you can't talk to them.
I
Um,
mean, I talk to them.
well, we can talk to them. You can't find them online. But yeah, so Julia hosted this round robin and they split us up into groups, and I was in team 16 count, aka the Shire. So this is 16 count Neptune's Depth by Kaylee at the Sewing Shop. The lighter color is a Threadworks that I don't know the name or number of, but I think it's like ice blue or something like that. I threw away the tag foolishly. And then the purple is a Cosmo variegated. And then I asked everyone else to pick a different color of Cosmo that I like sent out with the stuff, and then they could just keep the one that they picked and then stitch this little part with it. And then I stitched the final little single stitch right in the middle when it came back to me. So I put the last stitch in this.
Nice.
And this is Elegant Squid by Inks. And I love it. I'm so happy it's done. I'm so happy it came back. It didn't get lost in the mail, which I was very worried about. And yeah, that is all my finishes.
Awesome. Okay, speaking of round robins, I also got round robins back in the mail. So this was mine from the second most magnificent ink circle round robin. So I chose Reflections in Ireland. Um, the floss is hand dyed by Rolanda, a Pothos or something like that. I didn't pull the tag. And then the fabric is from Fortnite Fabric, so we can't get it anymore. So it doesn't really matter what it is. But yeah, so I was in my round robin group with Trina and Rob and Pam, and so it went across Canada and then dipped to America. And so Rob sent it back after the postal strike was over. I love it so much. I think I'm going to put this in a gold frame. It seems appropriate.
Mhm.
I'm not a big like gold fan, so we'll see what I actually come up with, but
I think that
I
would look
think it turned out so good. So it's one strand, over two on 36 count. Um, and it's just lovely. When I first started stitching it, I was like, oh, maybe we should be doing two, but I don't think so now.
the
That it's
coverage is
all
pretty
done.
good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
And then I also, with my team 14 count from the first most magnificent ink circles round robin, we have kept doing round robins. So, as if you are a longtime viewer know, we did a Carolyn Manning round robin. So this was
Uh,
my piece, which was Pumpkin Patch. I'm pretty sure I should have pulled the thing.
yeah, I
So
have
this
that
came back from Danielle. It's on 14 count Stony Creek Ada of some color. So it's the same one that I did my ink circles, my first ink circles on.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
it was lovely for this. So when I frame it, I'm gonna make sure that we can see some of that orange fabric because it's 400
Hmm.
dollars. And I love it. There's
So
three
what
other
about,
patterns that use the same palette. I need to decide if I want to do more of them. Um, I don't have enough of that orange fabric, so if I did do other ones, they would be on something else. But I'm in no rush to start more things. Okay, so those are finishes from my friends. I had a couple finishes this month though. So I finished for my Pick a Whip winter themed project. I finished Drifting Dream. So this pattern is from Light of the Moon Studios, your friend of mine, Allie. Um, no longer Misfit Stitches on Instagram. She rebranded to Light of the Moon Studios, but previously went as Misfit Stitches on Instagram. The fabric is a Kaylee fabric. And I don't know what I was thinking when I was doing this. I thought it would end up like in the dark a little bit more than it actually did. It's not a very big pot.
mm,
Apparently it's also got cat hair on it. Excuse me. Um, so I've got all this fabric left. I am going to cut out my project and then I'm gonna stitch kit past this to Megan. So she can have the fabric. It's a 20 count Ada, so it's teeny tiny.
oh,
I might not give you the floss, it's just DMC Blanc. I'm
oh,
sure
yeah, I got lots.
DMC Blanc. And part of the reason why I might not give you the floss is I'm pretty sure I already put it away. So, but you should have lots of space to
Oh,
figure
yeah.
if you want it lighter, darker, whatever. But it's
Hmm.
lovely. Okay. Or you could do something different and do something different with this altogether. But you're gonna get it. I got this in Kaylee, so the sewingshop.ca ice dye box, which I believe you can still get. So, because I don't know if Allie has that pattern on her shop or if it's only available through the box. But
Mm,
if you get it in the box, you get the fabric and you get other fabrics and just other things. So I highly recommend.
it's worth it. She does a
And
good
then my other finishes for the month were two start and finishes. So this is Stitch for Pride 2025. And so we've got our January and our February. So January, it's Elagabalus, who she was a Roman emperor who not a very nice person. Just period, just not a very nice person. If you need a lesson on why acting from privilege is bad,
one.
go read about her. Yeah. Um, she had a lot of power and did not do great things with it. And the second one was we learned about Hatshepsut, who was a pharaoh in Egypt, and um, you know, born a woman, but very much presented as a man, while whilst being the pharaoh. And there seems to be a lot of debate about if it was just like politically advantageous
Mm,
um, to do that. Um, However, there seems to be a lot of like contemporary contextual evidence that um, her gender, like her perspective of her own gender, was oriented more towards being a man, right? And so
mm.
a lot of the material uses she, her pronouns in light of not having much else, right? For Elagabalus, there's very clear contextual evidence to to use she, her pronouns. Maybe a little less so here, but regardless, right? Like that. Um, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Well, and I think like part of like looking at these historical figures through the lens that we have now, it's
Mm-hmm.
really easy to be like, oh, they were probably X, but we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much like are we misgendering them when we have really no
Yeah,
way of knowing for
yeah.
sure. But
Um,
just like talking about how they were like gender non-conforming at that time when it was like not really something that happened or like was wildly talked about is like kind of radical anyway.
yeah. Thank you for articulating that better than I would. But yeah, as always,
I
Dee
haven't
has
even done the
curated.
learning phase, so I'm just like, I can just guess.
Dee has curated really good learning. The
Mhm.
fabric is from Mislaid Pages, and now I can't remember what it's called.
Resistance.
Yes,
Yes.
resistance. So I have a 40 count Vertil, um, which uh,
Yours is kind of red. Everyone
it's
else is like black.
well the Verdell, because it's the synthetic fibers, didn't
Yeah.
is not as dark, which I find very nice.
Um,
There is like the red pink is in the other ones, like in
oh,
the
okay.
Vita, but
Some of them more like
it stands out very different on the synthetic fibers.
yeah,
I think I did a very nice treat to myself by getting this rather than the linen because it is easier to stitch
it's
on
really
and it was
yeah.
fully dark. But yeah, I love the colors.
Hmm.
And I will speak about March when we get to our plans.
Excellent.
Um, and then I have, nope, that's it. That's my finishes. That's everything I finished this month, except for my mini finishes, which I don't know. I asked yesterday if they counted as finishes, but we'll get there when we talk about
I
starts.
mean, you can call you yeah, but you can put it
Yeah.
in starts because I don't even have any starts.
Oh, you don't. Oh, yeah, because you're not
So,
starting things. So I can just roll right into it. Okay.
yeah, just
So,
roll right into your finish starts.
mhm. So last episode, Megan showed us the bird box, the 2025 bird box from Jessie at Mislaid Pages. Yeah. I have my box now. I'm not going to show it, but it's here. And I have only finished one of each of like one pattern from each of the previous two bird boxes. So I felt like,
I will someday.
yeah, they don't go bad.
Yeah.
But I felt like I should maybe do some older stitching before I started any of the new ones. And your friend of mine, Helen, the Diddy Stitcher, is keen to stitch the rebirth pattern. So I told her I would stitch it and then I would bring it to her when I go see her in October. So I started rebirth. So I have the called for fabric, which is New Spring by Mislaid Pages, and I have the called for Dinky Dyes. Um, I don't know what I did here. That's a
Mm,
big thing. So, because I told Helen I would bring her fabric, but it might be tight. We'll see. Although, if she has the other half and she doesn't start as high as I did, it should be fine. I'm just
yeah.
very close to the bottom of the halfway point. We will figure it out. Regardless, this is my start. That border is chunky. Um, there's a lot of stitches in there, but it looks so good. I also had this on a tiny 6x6 Q snap because I started it when I was traveling, so I didn't take anything bigger. So I will, now that it's come off of it, I will put it on something bigger to keep working on it.
Yeah.
but I'm hoping to finish this month in March so that it is done. And I'm trying not to. I started the year with some really big starts, and so I'm trying A, not to start as much stuff impulsively,
Mhm.
and B, finish what I start. So,
Very noble.
other than those big chunky ones, but I'm trying to whip down, not as aggressively as you, but I
Yeah,
can't
but
whip
I
down
think
if I'm only stitching new things. That's been my problem for the past like 3 years, is that I have all these things and then I just start more things. So
I mean, like one of mine took me literally like an hour to finish. Those are the kind of whips that I'm holding on to.
I have some of those in here too, right? So let's
Like I'm scared that if I finish too, like I don't know. But
if
anyways,
you finish and you're only halfway through the year, then you can go to your new starts, right? Like if you complete
really,
your objectives early, then you're fine, right? So,
exactly,
or you
exactly.
could finish other things because it's not like you're planning to finish everything. You could just keep finishing.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
might, there are some that are like bigger that are kind of like, I would really like to finish this, but I might get to like a point where I'm like, I'm not gonna finish this, and then I'll move on to like another bigger one that maybe
Yeah.
wasn't on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's room to maneuver
Yeah.
things.
The goal is 40. You picked 40, but it doesn't have to be those 40.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I did have more starts though. I started this last weekend impulsively when I finished the section I was working on a whip and realized I didn't have the rest of the floss with me immediately present. And I didn't want to go upstairs because if I went upstairs, it was time to do chores and I didn't want to do chores. So I stayed downstairs and started a new project. Um,
Smart.
you'll see how far I got. I put one strand in. It's not like I then like stitched for 5 more hours. I did go upstairs and do chores. But this is Plum Street Samplers, Miss Lucian's School for Girls, Lesson 1. Trick or treat, stitches neat, or prickly needles, stick your feet, is what it says. And I have the tiniest start.
Beautiful.
One strand just on the tail of that peacock. This is, oh crap, what is it? Um,
Picture
it's
plus.
a 40 count
Is it the
fox and
one you got?
rabbit.
Oh, Fox
Pardon?
and Rabbit.
Yeah, it's a fox and rabbit.
Dirt Road? Dirt
Yes.
thing?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Dirt Road by Fox and Rabbit. Put this behind, I don't know. It matters. And so it'll be long and skinny across the top. I will have lots of fabric left because I bought it's either a quarter or I think it's a quarter.
Hmm.
Um, and then it calls for Crescent Colorworks. I had none of the Crescent Colorworks, so I have a mix of Crescent Colorworks and Gentle Arts that I'm doing it in that are similar. Um, it will have the vibes, and that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No plans, just vibes.
yeah. Um, I don't look forward to doing all the counting, and honestly, whilst I will try my hardest, I'm not going to be too precious about it either because
As long as it looks kind of
yeah,
spaced
it
out
the
properly.
the words are already up and down, and then those little bits of pieces, it'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
And then my last start, which is where I got my also two more finishes from, is I signed up for Lena Thobe on Instagram. She is a Palestinian Tatriz artist. She is doing 30 days of Tatriz for Ramadan. So this started on Friday. I actually didn't start mine till Saturday, but that's fine. But so I've done day 1 and day 2, and day 3 landed in my inbox just before we started filming, so I will do that afterwards. It's 3 colors. It's 30 days, right? Like it's a 5 by 6 grid. Um, and yeah, I will have at the end of Ramadan or I guess over here, we're gonna work our way across in rows. A completed project. So
Yeah, it looks really cool.
yeah, and like it's not too much. It's 20-ish by 20-ish for
Oh.
each portion. And we will like it's just meditative and just thinking about right why Ramadan is important
Hmm.
and all the things that are going on in the world that make it extra important to um to be paying attention to these things. So
Mhm.
I'm using 3 colors of Sulky, which I did not write down and I do not have them with me. Um, we told
Is
to have
that
a
all
dark
it is?
color
Just
and a light color and a medium color. So that's
oh,
what
okay.
the pattern is in red, brown, and pink. But I saw
Mm.
these 3 sitting in a row in the box and I thought that they looked nice together. So I
Oh,
did.
nice. Yeah.
And then the fabric is a Kaylee fabric, which I think it's Jupiter. I've lost the tag off of it. It's somewhere. But
Yeah.
um, you'll see it again because I've got another lip on it. So, yeah, those are all of my starts
Okay.
slash tiny finishes. 30
Nice.
finishes for the month of Ramadan.
I
And one big finish at
like
the
that. 30 finishes, one whip.
end. Mhm. Did you work on any other whips or did you
I,
only finish things?
I did. I worked on two other whips. So one of them is this one, which I'm calling Magic D. Um, and it is by Emma Congdon at Stitchrovia. And I actually brought this to my guild on the 6th of February because we were doing a book club night where you bring a book that has like patterns in it that you like. And this was the only one that I was actually stitching from a book because it's in her Cross Stitch for the Earth book. But then I also brought my Pigeon Coop books to because they're like physical books that everyone can see. I only have like the PDF version of that. So everyone passes around and they're like, these are amazing. So
You write your
Max,
little shopping list
yeah,
out? Yeah.
yeah. I was like, Max, if you're watching, because of course he watches us, if you see like a sudden spike in sales from your website, it's because they all saw my books. But yeah, so I worked on this a little bit at Guild. It was not the best to work on because it's like hard to kind of see with terrible church lighting. But I did bring this part of the border down here, and that is where the narwhal tail will go. So I can start working on my narwhal the next time I pick this up. There's some more fill-in up here for the polar bears, and I did the tusks of my walrus as well. There's still a little bit of that light effects that has to go in the snow caps here, but I'm kind of like, I don't like stitching with that stuff, so I'm kind of, it's not very much more. It's just like a little bit on the top, but
You just have to be in the right mood and definitely having bad lighting and then
yeah,
working with
bad
bad
lighting.
floss.
And I'm doing it with two strands, which I feel may have been a mistake because this is
Try
18.
with one, you might not even see the difference.
That's what I was thinking. And especially like I might finish it just because I've already started it with one up here or two up here. But as I go down, I might switch to one in the body of the animals, especially
Mhm.
because it's fine when it's sort of like on its own, like, and there's not a lot around it. But I feel like when it's like in the middle of like a lot of other stitches, it's just going to be so annoying. So, because there's some in the narwhal body, and I think there's some in the oh, I don't even know. Anyway, yeah. So I think I might switch to one. We'll see. Because doing these tusks was definitely like really hard with two
Yeah,
strands. But they do look really good.
they
Like
do.
yeah, I'm kind of annoyed that they look really good. But anyway, we'll see. It's just like yeah, I just have to be in the mood. So that one is one that I really want to finish this year. And there's like I keep like it's not that there's a lot, but this orca is that's a lot of black on navy stitching, and it's gonna be yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that will not be church basement stitching. That will be bright light with natural light.
Yeah, like Saturday morning, fresh out,
Silent,
like
you can
yeah,
concentrate stitching. Yeah.
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 And then the other one that I worked on is Sailor's Delight. So
We
this is
love him.
20 stitches. Our handsome trans merman. So this was the one that my friends selected for me to work on for the Pick a Whip Friends pick. And so I did a little bit of these waves. So I'm doing this with mostly the called for, but I'm gonna do my waves in Etoile. So
Okay.
there's a little sparkly. And then I think there's water under this boat that I might do in the Etoile as well. And there's like another over here. But then he's like sitting on like a rock that's like the same blue color, and I might leave that
Yeah.
this blue. I don't know, because like Megan did hers with a toile, and then I pulled a toile to work on, but then I never really like started using it until, and then I got down to the water, and then I was like, maybe I should use that since
Yeah,
I have it in this project bag already. But did you do like your body in the toile?
I did it all in A12.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Like the whole thing is A12. So,
yeah. So I'm sort of just, yeah. So I have lots of filling in here, and then the water, and then
hmm
the birds.
yeah.
But yeah, it's getting. This will definitely be a finish for March. I would
Mm.
love to finish this on March 31st,
I think that you could plan for that.
which is why I selected it to work on this month anyway, and then it
Hmm
was picked. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a good plan.
And this is 28 count Sally's Dream from Fangirl Fibers, and it is a beautiful pink and blue, and there's like a little bit of like white sort of over here. So it is
Mhm.
the trans colors. It's so perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I worked on this month.
Okay. So, despite feeling like I hardly stitched this month, I have, in addition to my 3 starts and my 3 finishes, I have 5 whips that I also worked on. So, first up is my tail end project. So, this is Odd World by Bendy Stitchy. And so I'm doing tail ends with it. And so I can't remember exactly um, where we left this. I think a lot of what I added was leftovers from January stitching. Like I had a bunch of stuff from when I
Mm-hmm.
went to Winnipeg that I had saved up that I don't think I had put in. I do know I've added at least some blue in here because I put in my 2 blues from Stitch for Pride into the wings of the key. So there's at least that, but I'm pretty sure I added some of this other stuff since you last saw it. So I really like it. I am chomping off a much bigger project for my next tail end project, although I might do one in the interim. Michelle has a new Patreon chart that I might choose to do as a tail end project. I think the message is well needed. And like I've got this, and so I've got my tail end project, and then I've got my Ramadan project. And so my next tail end, if I choose to do that smaller one, I think I will just continue on this fabric. And I don't even know if I will do anything with it other than just hang this up somewhere when it's done and
Mm-hmm.
eventually do something with them, but at least be able to look at them in the meantime. I had 2 projects with birthdays in February. So first I had my Strawberry Fields Forever. So I did a day of stitching on this. Neither of them I actually worked on their birthdays because, um, planning ahead and being prepared is not a strong suit right now. So this I got in the Kitted Up swap last year, which I know I said we'd do another one, but um, maybe eventually. I don't know. I don't have capacity right now. But this is Blackbird Designs. It's part of the Magical Mystery Tour series. So all the Beatles inspired charts. Um, and Kim at Crafty Teacher DIY, our friend Kim, had me in the swap, and she did mine up in Forbidden. No, not for Be Stitch Me. Sorry, Be Stitch Me. So this is a Be Stitch Me fabric, and she did a silk conversion, which I don't have easily to hand, so I can't tell you anything about it. But I'm happy to answer messages. She stitched it as well, so she kitted up for herself with the same fabric and silks. She finished hers like immediately, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I had just the tiniest start. I had put in 1 strand basically last February and then not done anything more. So I brought quite a bit of the vine down and started over here. Um, yeah. I don't know if I will work on this again before June, but I am going to take it to the retreat we are going to in June because Kim will be there and just work on it with her. And I believe Megan's planning to bring hers. She's a lot further along than me. Maybe she'll finish it.
I'm at my house. I think I have a good chunk of the house done. And
Yeah.
then I think I still have like some berries to fill in on the
But you
side.
did this, right?
No,
No, you
no.
have, oh, you're just, okay.
I'm going
I don't know
top
why I
down.
thought you had the fence.
Yeah.
So you
No.
have like, that's like the bulk of the stitching. So
Yeah.
you have a ways to go still. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then my other project that had a birthday was my Roveris Skeleton Mermaids. Um, which this is way bigger than you think it is. It's like almost 200 by over 300 stitches. And fair enough that there isn't a ton of stitches in a lot of that space. But I, for some reason, thought it was a good idea that I should do this over 1 on 28 count, probably so that it wouldn't be ginormous. But
Hmm.
I dyed this is a 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself. It's more blue than it's looking here. It's definitely not gray. It's got more blue tone in it. Um, and yeah, so I had just their faces and this little peacock head. So I put in her body. I worked on it in an evening and then the next morning, basically. Um, so, kind of a day's worth of stitching. There's several hundred stitches in there. It doesn't look like that because it's so tiny, but it's there.
Yeah.
Um, this is a long-term project just because it is so big. And I pull it out and I go, do I really still like it? And then I look at it and I decide that I do still like it. So
Hmm.
um, I'll just work on it when the mood strikes me for tiny stitches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or once a year on its birthday for the next 20 years until it's done. Once I get through their bodies, the rest of it should be pretty quick. So I suspect that getting through their bodies will then motivate me to go for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Right?
They are a lot rounder than I remember them being. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty chunky.
Yeah. Right? Like they're not just their ribs, right?
Yeah.
If it was just ribs, it would be
Mhm.
way quicker. But
Yeah.
it's fine. It'll look great when it's done. That's what I have to just keep telling myself. That's my mantra.
Hmm.
I spent more time with my acorns and friends because I freaking love this chart.
It's good.
I can't remember exactly where I was at the end of January, but I know like for sure I put in that tree and like working on the stump in the same colors that are going into the tree. So I love it. It is going to go away for a while though. I mean, I haven't stitched on it in like over 2 weeks, so it's essentially already gone away for a while because I do have other goals for the year, and this was kind of a out of
Hmm.
nowhere. I mean, I paid for the retreat, so it wasn't out of nowhere, but I did not necessarily expect to like spend a significant
Yeah.
portion of my January and February stitching on it. It's lovely. I love it.
It is good.
Um, yeah. I also, so for Pick a Whip, one of the prompts was to work on something with like a flower. I think there was other things to it, but I picked my
Hearts,
sample
flowers, and birds.
flowers and birds. I picked my Afshan sampler so I can show you what this is going to look like. I don't have it printed, or at least not where I can find it. Sorry, I'm trying to do the wrong thing. There we go. So that is what it will look like when it is done. So it's definitely got several flowers on it. Um,
Hmm.
I love it a lot. I had a plan for Afshan till the end a couple years ago and then got distracted as I do.
You
Um,
have now passed me because I'm on the band above the one that you just finished.
yeah, so
So,
I finished two bands. So I finished this one with sort of the sideways S's, and then I put in this full band.
hmm.
This is what I was working on when I started the Miss Lucian's pattern
Mm.
because I was gonna bring this border down so that then it was sort of aligned. I guess I could have stitched with this thread. I kind of forgot it was there. Um,
Oh, you're gonna need that over there anyway. So,
yeah, right, but I didn't have the border color with me, so I started a new project instead. Um, yeah, so I've determined, so this is on my year of whips. So I've determined if I do a band a month for the next however many months, I can finish all the bands, and then in November and December, I can split up stitching that giant flower.
mm.
Get it done if I do that. It was really fun to stitch both these bands. So, and I also suspect like, so the next band goes all the way across. It's pretty chunky. Um, but then
Yeah.
into the vertical ones, and there's a lot less stitching in them, and they're half as big. So
Yeah, the
I
vertical
might
ones will
speed that
be
up
good.
too when I get there. So we'll see
Hmm.
how it goes. But the hope is to finish this by December as part of my year was.
I'm gonna work on mine in May for Marumi May.
I will work on it in May for Marumi May. Maybe I will focus on it a bit more. I do happen to have some other Marumi patterns as well, though, so maybe I should split up my time.
I've I only have three now. I have Yalda,
Mhm.
Afshan, and Viva Sampler because I finished the other two that I had. So,
I'm not sure. My Beavis might be the only one that started.
mm,
Yeah, I only have those two started, but then I've got all my other patterns for Miriam that I want to stitch,
yeah, she's got so many
like
that I
bird
want.
box patterns,
The
like
more animals, the
the
magic carpet.
unicorn, the defiant bird. Like there's so many. So many. We'll see how it goes. Okay, my last whip that I worked on last weekend, Helen and I did Angel of Love stitching. So this is a lavender and lace pattern. Um, I love it a lot. The picture does not do it justice. And here she is. So I'm stitching this on a 28 count, like tea dyed Monaco, like it comes that way. I didn't dye it. Um, and I finished everything in her sleeves and her bodice here, other than like she's holding a globe ball thing. That's all
Mm.
beads. I don't know if you can really see,
Oh, okay,
but
yeah.
it's all beads in there. And then there's some beads at the very bottom of her bodice that I don't have done. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and then I have to decide if I want to move into a skirt or bring down the cape on either side. So I've got like the dark blue started on this side of the cape, and I've got the gold here. So I'm feeling like it's very uneven right now. And so I
Hmm.
think I will focus on the cape and get it sort of like add blue on this side, gold on that side, and even it out. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to bead as I go, right? So there's some beads in her hair. Um, the halo has beads, like there's a line in the wings, you can see where the beads go, and then it's got long
Oh.
stitches. So the long stitches for sure would probably be an end of project thing, but the other beads could go in. But
Hmm.
then when you get into the skirt, it's DMC, Krynic, or like metallics and beads the whole way. So I am um I am going to have some scroll rods coming to me in
Oh,
June.
that'll be good.
Which this is why I wanted them. Because if I put her on scroll rods, then I can bead as I go and just roll it up, and I don't have to worry
Yeah.
um,
Well, it's
about
squishy.
it because I can fit her on like an 11 by 17 Q snap, but then I have to manage her on an 11 by 17 Q
A
snaps.
lot. It's hard to stitch
But
on.
yeah, so if I like working on the scroll rods, I think that will be my determining factor.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if I focus on her cape, I don't need to add. And there's a lot of stitches, even if I'm working on it for March, April, May, and even in June before I get those, I will not finish the cape, even in what's on this 11 by 11 Q snap space. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I love her. I love getting to spend time with Helen. Although we've been stitching almost every weekend, anyways, just
Yeah.
sometimes it's Angel of Love stitching. And I love it. I get to see people who make you feel good and
Yeah.
good, and other people hang out. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Been nice.
yeah, it's been really nice. Um, that's everything that I have worked on. Yeah, that was a lot. I did not think I stitched that much. And
No,
then
you did.
I
You
accumulated
stitched
it
a
all,
lot.
and I was like, oh, hey, even though it felt like there was 2 weeks where I did nothing.
Okay.
What did you buy?
Oh God, what did I buy? So I'm not trying to buy stuff right now, but I did go to my guild um stash sale at the beginning of February, and I wasn't really looking for anything. I don't need anything. but like these prices can't be beat.
And
So,
things found you.
and it's for a good cause because all the money goes back into the guild. So I got an 8x8 Q snap, which alone is worth like $20 or whatever. I didn't even spend $20 the whole day. Uh, or it's like 22 or something. Anyway, I got a few projects that are sort of like hand-me-downs. So some of them have been started by past guild members, who I've never met, who are no longer with us. Um, so one of them, which was really cool, is so this. So I got this blue watercolor butterfly and
Beautiful.
this also butterfly, golden watercolor butterfly, both from Rosewood Manor. And I got this one also from Rosewood Manor, which that was kind of nice. And I like Rosewood. So the blue one is started and it's almost done. It's just the butterfly left. I think it's upside down.
The
Yeah,
butterfly and finishing that alphabet. Yeah. So you
finishing
get to
that up.
stitch the best part of it.
And it came with a bunch of needles.
Oh, look at that.
But yeah, so like all of this stuff I wouldn't have wanted to do anyway. So yeah, I get to do the butterfly and then it'll be done. And the alphabet. There's even like a thread already like on a needle. So that was exciting. And then there's another butterfly, which is actually on a canvas.
Oh.
Um, so the black is done. This green is done. You can kind of see.
Is it needlepoint or is it crosses?
It's needlepoint.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't really know very much about it. But a lot of people at my guild do needlepoint. So I can just bring this in and be like, how do I do this?
Hmm.
I think it's stitched. Yeah, it's not crosses.
Yeah,
They're like kind of like half stitches,
yeah.
basically. But yeah, and you need like one of those like things that you like hammer it in.
Those are easy. Like they're not very expensive.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people use them at my guild, so I don't think I'll have a hard time. And then also this little pouch was in one of the
Oh,
bags.
that's cute.
Thank you.
Do you have like a floss list for that needlepoint?
No,
So you'll have to pick
just,
colors.
just vibes.
Yeah,
There's
I'm sure
there
you'll be
was
fine.
this piece of floss that was in the thing, and like the green that's already on there, I can kind of guess at what it
It's
is.
also leaves. It's fine if one is a different color than the rest, right? It's
Yeah,
completed. It's not like you're going to be adding a second color to it.
yeah, right. Like it's all yeah, right. Like I can just kind of do whatever I want,
Yeah.
honestly. Like I can find pretty close, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, yeah, thought that was pretty. And then I did get some floss just because there was a bunch that was like all together.
Mhm.
So just some purple and blue. It was like four for $1, and I was like, sure, why not? And I got this like this is actually I think this is Anchor, and then this other like blue color. Ooh.
You're set up to do some monochromatic things with your sets of floss.
Right? Because you know, you never know. And got all the patterns. Okay, yeah. And I did get a piece of fabric, even though I don't really need fabric, because I think this is 18 count black. I think it's 18. I haven't really measured it. But it was like $2. And I was like, you know, I always need more black. And I also got these, these are bobbins, but they're shaped like teddy bears. And then you can put the extra floss on his ear like
That's
that.
cute.
But it also has a folder that has like little
Oh,
bobbin
like the picture shows you.
right? So I'm like, that would be really good for like a full coverage or something
Yep.
if I was ever gonna do that. And they because it was like the end of the day and they were like, if you buy something, you get something for free. So I think I actually got this for free.
Nice.
They were just trying to get rid of everything.
That's fair.
And so I got a lot of magazines and books also. So the magazines that I got, oh, and some patterns. A lot of different magazines from like Stony Creek, like old 90s kind of
Yeah.
cross stitch. Yeah. So I looked through some of them and then I just kind of like grabbed ones based on like what was on the cover. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but this one I thought was pretty cool and not something that I see a lot in like 90s magazines. And now I have that black fabric. So, perfect. And then ugh, I got a bunch of patterns that are all also very old. So I got a bunch of these sheepish antiques, which I've never even heard of this, but they're like these wild like samplers that are just
Like that purple roof.
like bizarre animals.
The peacock.
Yeah. And this, I love this balloon. Like this one. Oh yeah, these shells. This is Gifts from the Sea. That's what it's called. Cricket collection. These are always popular. So this
Oh,
is like
Halloweeny
this is
ones.
like a Halloween one. And this gay icon here.
Oh yeah.
I love her. I thought that would be kind of cool. And what's this? Oh, another cricket collection, also Halloween themed. I
Oh, but
also
a Halloween hot air
love,
balloon.
isn't that cool? Yeah,
It's screaming your name.
yeah, I had to have that one. Oh, this one I really like.
Is
A
that
little,
done with DMC, like the fade?
I think so. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it's all DMC. It's just like different colors. And then I also got this book, which is actually for quilting. So this is like a quilt that you make with these applique blackbirds. I've never made a quilt, but obviously I will start with this.
And you know people who can help you.
I know lots of people can help me. And it comes with like your whole template and
Yeah.
everything. So yeah,
Nice.
be that hard, right? And probably the best thing that I got the whole day was this book, which I have already shown Megan some of the really good ones in here, but I'll just do a
That
little
Phoenix
here,
is so chubby.
like a dragon. Yeah, the Phoenix is really good. There's these like there's these fancy ladies that are really cool. There's some more dragons.
Where's the Pegasus? He's pretty funky looking too.
Oh, here it is. Rainbow Pegasus. Yeah. And that was just what I got at the thing. Without even trying to find it. But then I also got my box from Brin and Needle, which if you watched Michelle, we all got the same thing. Show you. I think Megan got hers too. Yeah, this beautiful purple fabric, which Michelle already has grand plans for hers. I'm debating. I mean, I definitely agree, Halloween themed for sure.
Hmm.
Um, but I might do my Hex Hotel on there, which I haven't started yet.
Oh, it's perfect. I have it. I have the print right here, but you can't see it. But yes, yes, it is
Um,
perfect purple.
Right? Wouldn't it be perfect? And I have the floss for that one, but now I've seen Nati's conversion that she did with like the blue and I was like, ooh, doing different colors. So
hmm
we'll see. But yeah, that's all that I've got.
Oh,
That was it.
I got the bigger package, maybe? I don't know. Did you get the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I got all that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got this pattern from Patty, which is charted in both DMCs and Brennan needles. It's a lot of Brennan needles, so I haven't gone through my thing to see how many I have. So I figure that I could do the Brennan needles that I have and DMC otherwise, right? Like
Yeah.
you mix and match. And we got Quirky Quaker from Deanna. That is scissors, but I won't show it because it's just the pattern. Sticker, needle minder, which you can't see the
The nice pouch.
needle minder with the same thing. Some flosser drops and a pouch to keep it all in. Oh,
I love this needle minder. It's very good.
it's so pretty. And there is floss that is coming, but it's not been the best of years for our Britten needle friends, and so it will
Hmm.
come in time, and that's fine. We didn't do this for the stuff. We did it to support
Yeah, I would have
our
just given them
community.
money. So
Did you get anything else in the mail?
no, that was it.
Okay. I have three Bandai by Rolanda sets that have come since we last spoke. I'm really not sure. Two showed up at the same day. Only one is labeled with a month, so I don't even know what's going on. But all these lovely flosses from Rolanda. Um, I
I
think there
love
might
that
be a bit of
dark.
catch up from the postal strike still. Like I wonder
Oh,
if
true, yeah.
she didn't even mail until afterwards, right? Um, I don't know. I have floss. I have lots of floss. Part of me is like, I never want to quit the Hand Up by Rolanda Club, and part of me is like, maybe I should quit it because I may never live long enough to use what I have already. So, um, it's nice.
It
I
is nice.
also got my Kaylee Fabric of the Month. So I switched to 40 count linen this year because I have a wealth of the Ada. And so I've got this beautiful pink.
Mm,
It's a whole quarter, so there's a lot there. It's called Blooming Kisses. I love it. If um if you're interested in doing the Iron Maiden, it's not quite as bright as the Fizzy Pop, but if you can't get your hands on the Fizzy Pop, which is a Brennan needle fabric, this could be
hmm
a good alternative. Um, Plus, it could be good for 8,000 other things. You could do the heart sampler on this. Look
hmm
really good on there. All sorts of things. And then I am doing bag of the month, but I'm doing tiny bags. I got a unicorn bag this month. Look at that. It's so
Oh,
It's
I
got a little
love that.
unicorn charm. Yep. Um, and then the last thing that I got, that is like a purchase. So I have been trying to keep my eye out to get the Teresa Rinsler, the unicorn pattern. And I
Ooh.
keep missing it on the buy and sells. Um, and when you go and you look on like eBay and then it's American dollars and then they want to charge you like $25 just to ship it, it's a lot of dollars. But this came up on the buy and sell, the Canadian buy and sell, for a very reasonable price for this book. So I bought it. I don't know if I will stitch any of the other charts. I do like I had this in a booklet, but I passed it on to Michelle Chinook Crafter for her
Mm.
dragon collection. Before I think she got this book. I don't know. She has this one too. Um, but I'm just gonna show you the unicorn bag because if you're not familiar with the unicorn, you should be. Oh no, the pictures are out front. There we go.
Wow.
Right? Sorry
That's
for
right.
like the ring light glare and whatever.
Hmm.
And there's a note that says basically don't change the fabric or the floss or you won't get the effect. probably going to change the fabric. I won't stitch it on a black. I will stitch it on, like I've got some Kaylee's that are a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to put it on light fabric.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I don't know when I will start it, but I have it now. And I can stop looking obsessively at the Teresa Wentzler stuff when it is posted.
Hmm.
And then I got two other things in the mail that feed into my plans, which are my round robins for this year. So with Team 14 Count, we picked up on a conversation that was had on Michelle Bendy live streams around like stitch work my whip or start my start theme, which I don't think has gotten off the ground in terms of like being a round robin for everybody, but we're already a little quartet, and we wanted to keep stitching with each other this year. So we have gone with a mix of whip my whip slash start my start. So this is Danielle's piece. This is Spirits of the Dead by Modern Folk Embroidery. I didn't bother getting the cover photo because this should be enough to remind people what the pattern is. So it's got a big Edward Allan Poe quote, and then says Edgar Allan Poe along the bottom. Danielle does not care to stitch all of those words. So she's passed this forward. It's on this beautiful, like it's a opalescent Ada. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, so I will put some time in on this and then I will send it forward to Michelle. Um, yeah, so you'll see the other projects as they come, but we have a variety of things that are going around to us. Yeah, so it'll be fun to work on just some different projects with each other this year and keep them moving.
Hmm.
And then I'm also participating in Steph Pocket Roddy's birthday round robin with Autumn Quaker. We had a bit of a delayed start in getting these out because of the Canadian postal strike, because we have two Canadian and two American friends in this. So this is Pam's Soulful Whimsy slash Hobbies and Hyper Focus. It is on 40 count Ada. Um, and so we broke it down into we're stitching four of the Quakers each round.
Hmm.
And then so to start with, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 for our own stuff. If you recall, I did this and I counted over and I got my acorn in place so people would have stuff to count on. I definitely did not do as much
Hmm.
on it as Pam did before sending it out, but it'll come back to me and then I'll work on it to finish. But so
Hmm.
I get to stitch for Pam. I'll be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, I think is how it goes. Those ones down that side. Um, yeah.
Oh, so you guys are kind of each going like in order, or do
Yeah,
you just
so we won't be stitching so I'll stitch those on those and then I think I get Steph's after that and then I'll stitch
right? Okay.
the next, right? So we will each have stitched the full pattern is the thing.
Yeah.
We'll have stitched on each other's. Um, and because it's charted in DMC and we're all just using the charted colors, we're sending the projects. Rachel has a special floss that she wants us to pick to do. I forget exactly what she's having us do with it. But otherwise that's the pattern. So
Nice.
yeah, so I will be working on both of those in the next month/2 months so that I can get them moving along to their next destinations.
Hmm.
Which kind of segues us into plans. What are your plans for March?
So the other two things that I'm gonna try to finish in March, so Funky Menagerie by Lindy Stitches. I think I have a couple animals and then just like the border left,
Really not
so
very much at all.
it shouldn't take very long. And then Got the Morbs by Modern Folk Embroidery. I think I can finish
Yeah,
in March.
nice,
And then also the Transform Man. So those will be the three other finishes for March that I'm gonna focus on.
nice.
I'm not starting anything, not buying anything else, just finishing.
Finishing. I love it. I love it. Um, what are you choosing for your dark fabric pick a whip?
That one was the we still go on. So that one's done.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I knew that. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, you knocked that one out on day one
Yeah.
of March.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because I knew it was on my list to finish in March because I was like, I need to finish 3.3333 things each month,
Mhm.
so it's like three and a little bit. So if I can do four some months, then that'll be
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So for my pick a whip, for my dark floss one, or dark floss slash dark fabric, I'm going to do my Blackbird by Blackbird Designs, which is another
Mm,
of the mystery tour. I had it as like a backup for the bird slash flower one this month, but I worked on the Afshan and so I didn't touch it. So that's this one, and that's it should be a finish. It's not very big. There's no reason why it has been a whip for this long in my life. So it's got dark fat floss, so I'm going to work on that one. But for the other pick a whip, which is picked by a friend, Megan got this photo from me, and is going to tell me what my other project is this month.
I'm picking toonies.
Yay!
Because as
That's
soon as
great.
I saw this image, my eye just immediately was drawn to that. And in my head, I even was thinking, I was like, did she not finish this?
I did
Because
not.
for some reason I was like convinced, but I think I was mixing it up with the Raven,
Oh
the
yeah.
Old Raven, because you were working on them kind of at the same
Well, I
time.
started them. I
Yeah,
started the Raven, the Toonies, and this one all when we were in band.
yeah, exactly. So I think in my head I was like, I thought she was done.
Okay.
So that's the one I'm picking.
I will pull that out. Though, and those, both of those, like, so my pick and your pick are not very big. So I should be able to like do that and then do other things this month, which is
Mhm,
really,
absolutely.
really nice for my mind. The only pattern that I have with a birthday this month is the beautiful biomes. So I will
Oh,
work on
right.
that. It is also on my year of whips, so good to get it out and get some progress in it. So I might, it's near the end of the month, so I might just work on it earlier,
Yeah.
right? Do more than just the one day on it to give it a little bit of love. The bands themselves don't take very long. Like they're not,
Yeah.
there's not a
Yeah, it's
and
not a
so it's just
chunky border
no,
like our yeah.
no,
It's actually
right?
not too bad.
Yeah, so it's just sitting down and doing some of the work.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen. So um my other plans are of course Stitch for Pride. So we got yesterday was the first, so we got our March Stitch for Pride pattern.
Oh yeah,
So
the
it's this
drag.
beautiful dragon and a sword.
Yeah.
And so the historical figure that Dee focused on is Chujin, and I've done just a smidge of the learning so far. And so Chujin was a revolutionary um, feminist icon in China who also often uh, like dressed, presented in masculine fashion, and has a lot of poetry that, um, right, like where they are exploring their gender identity and this sort of thing. So I'm just right like the very surface of that learning. I just read a couple. Basically, I read the written stuff that Dee provided. I haven't watched any of the video links and things like that, which often give you a lot more in-depth information. But I will do that when I stitch this pattern. So I'm very much looking forward to stitching this one. The um, because I'm doing it the sampler version. So we put March across the top here, and it gets us to the other side of the pattern. So then we'll just be working down.
Mhm.
And the color is Sumu. So it's this beautiful
Ooh, that'll look really good.
pink. And um, included in our learning every month. Well, I don't have it open anymore. But Al from LG Ross Floss and Fabrics um, provides us with, right, because each of the colors is something that is contemporary to the figure that D is focused on, so we get a little bit of information on it. And so this comes from, I forget what the name of the tree is, but it's natural dye using the
Mm.
bark from a tree from China.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's very nice color.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
These flosses, perfection. And because I'm doing 40 count, I'm going to have so much floss left over
Hmm.
that I'm going to take my other half of my fabric and my floss to Helen
Oh.
because Helen is not stitching it this year, but she did buy the pattern. So then she has a kit if she decides
Mm.
to.
Yeah,
I'm just going to take Helen half of my stash and then I'll have room for whatever I bring back from the UK. It's the plan.
that is the way. Yeah.
Okay. And
I
otherwise,
have I
I
have
have,
purchased the floss, but I'm not starting it until I finish
yeah,
24. So,
and that's fair. That's fair. Otherwise, I have no plans, right? So I have my picket whips. I'm going to work on my round robins. I'm going to do my Stitch for Pride. I'm going to work on Sean Sampler and get that one band done. And otherwise, I am trying not to overschedule myself.
mhm.
Still feels like a lot. But then
Yeah.
I look at all the things I worked on this month. I did
Yeah,
two Stitch for Prides in 1 month.
yeah, you got
It
so
will be
much.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, just one.
I don't think I'm traveling this month other than potentially some day trips. I was maybe going to be going, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't think that I have any overnight trips this month.
Mm.
Um, so that's both a boon and a curse, right? Like I sometimes get a lot more stitching done when I am traveling because I don't have to do anything else.
Yeah. I'm debating what I'm gonna bring because we're doing another stitch and pub day, and
Mm.
I've been bringing like small things that I can kind of stitch in hand, but I don't really have any left. Like I've finished almost all of them.
Do you have the tiniest nurge?
Yeah.
Take things that you can use that for, and then it's little.
Yeah. Well, but I still want to stitch on the things that I've said I was gonna stitch on. So I might bring my trans merman, also because there's like a lot of like filling in that I have to do, so
Yeah.
it might be easier to work on.
Yeah, you could do his
And
tail.
yeah, it's like it's on 28 count, so it'd be pretty easy to work on. So I think I'll bring that unless something else pops up in the next little while, and I'll be like, oh right, I could do that.
Yeah.
But I also want to bring anything with like too much floss. That's kind of the problem, because I don't want to have to be like switching out colors all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. You could pre-thread your needles if you do
Yeah,
have something with a lot of colors, so then you at
that's
least
true.
aren't in the pub trying to thread your needles.
Yeah, and then dropping needles everywhere. Uh, so, yeah. We have kind of like a separate room that we use when we go there, so it's not like it's a restaurant, but it's like kind of separate, so it's not so crazy. But anyway, yeah, we'll see. Other
Well,
than that, I don't really have anything else. I'm not going anywhere this month, so yeah.
that's
Easy month
uh,
long.
we'll just keep stitching. I have been working on my crochet blanket at work, my Pokemon yarn one. I
Oh
was taking a
yeah,
picture of it because
yeah.
I am on color 44 now, I think, of the
Oh
90
wow.
something, right? So I'm rapidly approaching the 50% mark. I've finished 1/3 of it for sure, right? And I'm rapidly approaching the 50% mark. It's getting very big and bulky. My office is usually like 22 to 24 degrees, and so then this big blanket on top of me. But I'm doing some professional development sessions and things like that. So I'm
Mm.
being very studiously turning off all like my notifications and distractions from my other work stuff, which is when I'm in listening meetings, what I'm doing. Um, this is a different thing. And so then I'm working on that in sessions, and so I am
Yeah,
making good progress because it crochets up very fast, right? So I'm doing two
yeah.
or three colors in one session, and so
Oh, that's really good.
yeah, yeah, I'm in
Nice.
the greens,
Yeah.
right? If we're Roy G. Biveting this, I'm I'm in the G.
Yeah, you're almost at halfway, you said. So
Yep.
yeah, that's good.
It's really coming together. It's going to be large, but I don't think it's going to be like, I don't even think it's going to be like queen size, right? It's going to be a very
Mhm.
nice couch.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Your new couch.
For my new couch, which is finally in one piece. That only took 4 weeks and 3 visits from the delivery people. That's a whole
Yeah.
other thing. It looks great. We need a smaller coffee table. We're thinking about getting one with like a lift out thing. And the one that I'm
Mm.
looking at
Oh, and it goes
like
up.
lifts up and becomes big. And I'm like, we could play board games in the living room.
Yeah.
That might be, I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. The trick is not buying something that is too big just
Mhm.
because it folds out, right? Like,
Yeah. You have the same problem you already have.
yeah, right. So we'll figure it out.
All right.
Okay,
We did it.
we did do it. I don't know that there's a lot more to say other than we thank you so much for hanging out with us. Again, right? Like, think about how your actions and your words impact the people around you, and try and make sure that they're impacting people in a positive way.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Okay.
We'll see you at the end of March.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.